All right. Hello and welcome to today's In Session, focused on building and growing a solid super fan base. We will explore tools for maintaining high engagement and support for the independent musician. And I am beyond excited to introduce our panelists, Keeyen Martin, B. Steadwell, and JD Polo. Amazing. Thank you all for being here. This is great. So let's
Hello.
start. Hi. Welcome. And let's start, let's go around my screen and if you would don't mind sharing with everyone your preferred gender pronouns and a little bit about what you do. JD, we'll start with you.
Well, my name is JD Polo. I'm a Baltimore-based artist, female artist from Baltimore, Maryland, and I'm just a creator. I'm a creator of whatever I imagine. I have to bring forth in style. I have my own clothing line, but I'm an artist first. Music is my first thing, so I'm just a creator in every word of it, every sense of the word.
Amazing. Love to see it. All right. Keeyen, how about you?
Hello, everyone. I'm Keeyen Martin. I'm originally from Charlotte, North Carolina, but I have been residing in Atlanta for a while now. I'm a pianist, singer, songwriter, recently turned actor, and I just love all things creative. I've been doing it since as long as I can remember as a kid, and I truly feel like the creative arts connect the entire world. So happy to be here.
Amazing. I love it. And I love that newly added actor. We chatted a little bit before we started the webinar. So you claim it, you know what I'm saying? And it will
Yeah.
come to be. Amazing. And last but certainly not least, we have B. Steadwell joining us.
Can you hear me?
We can. There you are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm B. Steadwell. I'm from DC and I'm in DC now. I'm a singer, songwriter, filmmaker, storyteller, and I make mostly what I call queer pop music for other marginalized weirdos, black girls, queer people.
I love it. I love it. Great. Amazing. Thank you all so much for joining us. I think it'll be a really great conversation. And I think that the audience will take a lot away from what y'all have to say today. So we'll be covering several topics related to engaging fans for the first 45 minutes of our discussion, and we'll leave some time for Q&A at the end. And I'll just go over a few housekeeping items. So this is a supportive and uplifting space. So we want to keep that in mind as we get into the discussion. Please feel free to use the chat to share where you're tuning in from, show your support, and show your love to the panelists. And then when using the chat function, just make sure that you check all panelists and attendees, or else your question will only go to the panelists. We want to make sure that everybody has visibility into that. And if you have any questions that come up during the webinar, there's a Q&A box at the bottom of your screen for you to submit. And we'll have a moderator gathering those questions and we'll answer them towards the end, like I said. And there'll also be a little short survey that you'll receive after the session ends so that we can get your thoughts and feedback and continue to make this a great conversation every month. So we will start with the questions. JD, why don't you kick us off? What is a super fan to you and how are they different from just a general fan?
A super fan to me is an unconditional supporter. No matter how much you elevate or fall in your career, they're always there. Every post, concerned about your well-being as far as your livelihood, your life, sharing your music, sharing all your content, and just like never disappearing. That's a super fan to me. That's just down for you no matter what. And they give as much as they receive from me. They give back to me and motivate me as well.
That unconditional love, yes.
Unconditional love.
Right? B, what about you? What do you think?
I love what you said, JD. I was like struggling with the questions because sometimes the word fan feels a little like demeaning.
Yeah.
Like it's like, oh, my fans, and I never really use that word. But what JD, I agree with what JD says. Like those folks who are always showing up or trying to see what you're working on, who care about your livelihood, like that. I don't know what to call them, but if super fan is what we're calling them, that's fine. But those people are the best. I love them.
Right.
Yeah, agreed. Keeyen?
I think a super fan in alignment with what me and JD said. You know, it's that person. I think of them as they flock with you or to you in and out of season. You know, like when you're putting out content and music, and when you're just dormant and chilling. I think they're the people that check on you, that always remind you that there is a reason for your art, that they love it, that they're listening, that they're consuming it. So yeah, I definitely would say people that are with you in and out of season. Which, to me, when you recognize those people, man, you just honor them, you love them
Mm-hmm.
because they don't have to um, have that type of devotion to you. So it's extremely appreciated for sure.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And I love the idea that all you have kind of connected on is treating the fans as a part of your artistry. So it's like you said, the term fan almost sounds demeaning, where it's like, no, you're such a big part of what I do and who I do this for. People are seen through what you're doing, right? So on that regard, like how do you turn a regular fan to a super fan? And when does that happen? If it seems like it's this kind of like thing that's it's family sometimes, it's friends sometimes, right? So how does that transition happen?
Well, who go for? Oh, you want me to go first?
Go for it.
Well, like a super fan to me, it's all about engagement because you have I say supporters. I don't call them fans, so I call them supporters. And to me, it's all about engagement, meaning that you can have people that might like your content, they may listen to it, but they won't give you those words of encouragement to let you know that they received the message that you were, putting out, or that they actually connected with what you were trying to say. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So the difference is you got some watchers. They'll watch, but if you're not, like I said, at a certain caliber, they don't feel that comfortable to share it with their people. But your
Mm-hmm.
super supporters, they'll share it with anybody. They'll ask you, want me to, can I post this? Can you send this to me? It's just the engagement, it's a relationship. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
all about a relationship, Bill.
Yeah.
That's about it.
And if I could add to that, I think that for me, I've seen firsthand how the ability to connect beyond even whether they encounter you at a performance, if they listen to you on Spotify or a streaming platform and DM you, when you
Mm-hmm.
actually give a person an opportunity to dialogue with you, to
Right.
have some type of encounter where they can tell firsthand that, wow, you actually care about me beyond just me listening to you. And I often recognize it as, where would any musician or talent be without somebody supporting? So
Supporter.
and I agree with JD in regard. Just beyond a fan, you're a part of my family. You're a part of my musical tapestry or creative tapestry, because without you, there would be no me. So I am indebted to you as much as you feel like you're indebted to me, honestly.
Mm. Yes. Stealing the supporters. Yeah, we might have to change the name. That's super supporters.
The supporters.
Absolutely. So then, at the end of the day, we do have to kind of get technical, right? Like you have shows, now we're doing live streaming. Like, what's the best way that you found that you can reach out? Are you using things like MailChimp? Are you using Show.co? Like, what are the tools that people listening or that other artists can use to capture fan information? Then once you have that information, what are you doing with it? Do you have a monthly or weekly newsletter? Like, what's your favorite tool? B?
I could be more organized, but I'll say
Right,
that
me too.
right, we all could. But I'll say that the two things that are sort of my biggest tools right now are Patreon and Eventbrite, and probably also what's Bandcamp. Any platform. So Eventbrite, for example, isn't the best. I mean, they take a huge cut. I don't like really the layout that much, but what you do get when you do an Eventbrite event is people's emails, and I don't abuse it. I don't email them every week. I don't even email them every month. But I might email them when I have a release. I might email them when I have another event. So like both Eventbrite and Bandcamp will give you those, if somebody buys your piece, you get an email address. And I'm not a person who likes to get newsletters, even from artists that I love. So I just stay off of that. If I have product, if I have something for you, I'll tell you about it very infrequently. And then Patreon is kind of its own thing, but that's where my super supporters live right now.
Right.
That's like how I'm staying alive here.
Yes, amen.
Dark.
Yeah. JD, Keeyen?
Well, my super supporters live on Instagram and Facebook. I burn them DMs and them inboxes up, but I always ask permission. Please, can you please share this for me? Can you please just check this out? There's something that's new. And I get a lot of engagement on my posts because of that. I probably, out of the hundreds of people that I hit on it, I probably have one that probably say, well, hello, or you just keep sending me stuff. I mean, I'm an artist. This is how I get it out. Like, I haven't gotten to the email aspect of it. And I think that probably would be more profitable for me as an artist. But like Instagram, Facebook, on my merchandise, I sell out. Like, I have good supporters on Instagram and Facebook. Like, hands down.
Love it. Love how everybody has different platforms they gravitate towards. What about you, Keeyen?
So mine is similar to JD. I would say Instagram, Facebook, and a little bit of MailChimp. And Instagram, though, I think we can all kind of agree. Instagram, you can just have so much interaction with strangers.
Yes.
It feels so personable, and particularly my DMs daily are just like lit up with people dialoguing, talking on stories, on posting. And I think, as an artist, acknowledging which platform works for you, that has been very pivotal just for me to find, okay, hey, people are flocking right here. Let me keep, engaging here, because a lot of times I feel like you kind of spread yourself a little thin when you're trying to do the same thing on every single one.
Everything, right.
Yeah, but Facebook, I always call Facebook like grandma, grandpa, auntie land, because it seems like everybody
family
cool to your family. But the fact that they flock to you now, it's like when you post something, you'll have your great aunt, sister-in-law be like, oh my gosh, I remember when you was a little boy singing in church. I'm proud of you. But that matters. And so I sincerely, I try to, interact with all of them. And MailChimp, similar to as BeBe mentioned, it's like I'm not the most I guess favorited with just getting influx of newsletters, but they do have certain people that like that. So I try to balance the three. I try to,
Yeah, I like that, because if you start sending out newsletter every week, people will unsubscribe and you can't get them back, right? So you got to be careful about flooding people's inboxes. So we're talking about all these different platforms now. A lot of y'all mentioned Instagram, and I think we're on our phones all day, we're scrolling all day, and Instagram will show you who's live, right? So I think people will click in if they like what you have to offer, right? But then I think some artists have had trouble getting people, for instance, to like a Zoom show or to another platform. So how are you getting people from, if you have a ton of likes on your Facebook music page, how are you then getting them to buy your merch? How are you getting them to play your video on YouTube? How are you getting them to follow you on Spotify? Like, what's the best way, do you think, to get people from one platform to another? And anybody could jump in, feel free.
I think vulnerability. When you're vulnerable and people know you, they feel like a personal connection, not just you just shoving music down their face. Like he said, like on my stories, they know my dog, my cat, they know my niece from when she was a baby. They're seeing person like, oh, I know you. You know what I mean? And just the fact of giving that family orientation with your artistry, it makes you want to follow and check up on your family. You get what I'm saying? So whatever your family has going on, if it's a cookout, if it's a new song, you got a new video, it makes them feel as though they're welcome to follow your journey. They're welcome into your life. So when you welcome somebody in your life, they want to know every aspect of it. So I think just being vulnerable to your super supporters, allows them to want to follow you wherever you go, to make sure you're good. You know what I mean? Just checking up on you.
I agree 100 million trillion zillion %. And a personal experience, when I realized that people want to see a whole person, that matters almost more than just the music. You know, people connect with your art, but then they want to see, well, who are you beyond that? And I think a lot of times when you think of an artist, a creative, you see them as this kind of larger than life being. But when you get to know that I hurt like you do, I cry like you do, I wake up like you do, you begin to see, wow, you're just like me. In a personal experience, I remember a couple years ago, long story short, my car had broken down. I had walked into an area. I had never ridden the MARTA, the transit, and I got attacked. Like I got attacked. These people were trying to rob me. It was like really, really bad. And I made a GoFundMe because my car had broken down. I had to get surgery. It was a really scary situation, you know, and as ashamed and hurt and broken that I felt, I wanted people to see, you know, I'm hurting. I don't feel the most happy about music, about art, but I want you to see that even in this, I'm going to be like a phoenix that rises from the ashes. And when I say that that was a turning point for self, because I saw the outpouring of love, even beyond music, you know, are you okay? Are you good? And that much love, as we all know as artists, that gave me so much inspiration to get my fight back, to put it into my singing, put it into my playing piano. And so I agree that that vulnerability, showing your whole self, people want to see that because we all breathe the same air. So why not show that?
Right.
Yes. Let's talk about that a little bit because I want to know you JD and Keeyen, you touched on it. How do you toe that line between people knowing too much about your life? Are y'all the type to like let people all the way in? You're going, you know, Facebook or Instagram stories, going live. Like, do people know the real you? Do you feel like on your socials, or are you the type to kind of like let people in enough and give them a little bit of you? Because, like you said, you're not just buying music; you're buying this artistry, right? You're buying this total package of who are you? If you're making music for somebody who looks like me or is like me, then what does that even mean to you if I don't know you at all, right? So what do you think, B? I feel like you're really great at kind of like using your identity to make people feel seen. So how do you toe that line of like letting people in and like also having your own personal life?
Yeah, I was thinking about this recently. My music really is very intimate, and it tells all of my business,
Right.
whether I want it to or not. And vulnerability is like kind of at the middle, at the crux of everything I do. It's sincerity. It's being earnest. It's saying the thing that I'm the most embarrassed about or the most scared to say, because if you do that, it helps someone usually, almost always. But yeah, the boundaries are good too. You know, like I don't, I don't want everybody to know everything. I don't want my mom to see everything. Like
Right?
there's just there's some lines I don't want to cross. But I know some artists put on a persona and that's like completely legit as well. But for the most part, I just have to be honest in whatever space that I'm inhabiting. Sometimes I'll take a step back from Instagram because I'm not ready to be vulnerable today. I don't want people to know about every breakup and every, you know what I'm saying? But when I'm ready, I come completely honest and completely as myself. It's just figuring out what's healthy, I guess.
Absolutely. JD, Keeyen, any thoughts on like how to toe that line?
Yeah.
You can go ahead, King. I'll go after you. Go ahead.
I think that, you know, it's relative to everybody, and I feel like you really have to use your own discretion of what you just honestly choose to share. But I think for me, creatively, it always connects to, okay, well, what is my goal for my art? And my goal is to encourage people to be the greatest versions of themselves through my music. And so a lot of my music is about my personal experience, family, love, lack thereof, you know, all kind of together. But I think that naturally when you interact with people, you can kind of gather quickly, okay, what do I feel most comfortable? What do I want to kind of keep for myself? What do I want to share later? And I think that it's relative, but I think once you really put feelers out there and kind of see what people are responding to, it gives you clarity on, okay, boom, we're going to roll with this. And you'll be good from there.
Absolutely. It's a little give and take, seeing what people respond to and using that in real time. Absolutely. JD, go ahead.
Yeah, with me, timing is everything. Everything has a time and a place to be revealed. Everything has a time and a place to be withheld. So with me, I might have went through a situation that I'm not comfortable with sharing, even in my artistry. It hasn't formed in my mind for me to even express it through that. So me personally, I kind of hold relationship stuff, because when you put out your relationship things, you're also bringing your spouse into that light, and they may not be comfortable with that. You may never know who may attack that or anything. But I put everything out there, because you got to understand that your supporters sometimes come to you for inspiration and hope. So if you always up, I'm good, I got money in my pocket, I'm never broke, my bills always paid. No, you know what I'm saying? No, I'm broke, I'm about to get evicted. Then they see your growth. They see the growth in you as an individual. Then it shines through your music. So you see me, I have supporters that have been watching me since day one. Your music has changed so much, but me as an individual has changed as well, because I always put me and my situations in my music. So it's just like showing them that growth, showing them that you can be vulnerable, showing them that you're not always up. But when you're down, I'm back up. You can do that as well. So I don't put like every single thing out there, but for the most part, I'm an open book to my friends, to my fans, and everybody. I'm just me and my music. So that's just basically it.
Yeah, I love that, because it's, you don't want to, like you said, if I'm only seeing one side of you, that, the glass is going to shatter at some point. We see, we're going to see through it, right? So if you give me a little bit of yourself, but also protecting your own personal space, I agree. Right. I want to pepper in some questions from the chat real quick. It looks like Adam and Daisy had a similar question about live streaming. Are y'all all doing regular live streams to get supporters and fans and things like that? Hey, feel free.
Oh.
Yeah, don't be shy.
Oh, well, sometimes I do live streaming, but I do a lot of videos. And like I said, how I share it and I just put it out there. Like even music that I probably haven't even recorded in the studio, something coming to my mind, just to show them that I'm steady working. And if I'm not doing anything at the time, I don't have anything to offer, I won't post. So when I'm quiet, that means I'm getting things organized, because sometimes when you put yourself out there, they're waiting for more. So you got to be prepared to keep shouting. That's what gets that engagement up. Just the constant content, no matter if you're cooking and you got your music playing in the background or however, you just gotta keep, feeding them, keep checking in.
Yeah, and we're a year into a pandemic, so I know live streams are trickling off a little bit, but what about y'all, Keeyen? Are you still doing live streams to engage fans?
Yeah, I do posts on Patreon weekly, and I have had some events. Recently I started doing sing-alongs that sort of bring that bring other queer musicians into the space. So mostly I'm hosting, but I'm like I'm getting people together to just like have some joy, and other than that, when folks approach me to do events, like if they are paying me, I'll do a virtual show, but that's pretty much it. It's pretty low.
Yeah, it's tough after a year.
Yeah, I kind of do. Well, I would say I've been doing a lot of like virtual shows, and then there have been like a lot of platforms where you do like interviews and Q&A. But for me, it's not super regular that I'll just say, "Hey, I'm doing my own live virtual situation," because Me, I'm just such a alive in person type of guy. Like that's my heart and soul. So, after about your first three, you're kind of like, okay, this is new. But I have increased my just engagement on social media with releasing content, just showing me in my regular day to day, talking to people. Just because I think that it's important to just be your authentic self. People can tell when you're forcing it. People can tell when it's not real, when it's not you. And I think I've learned over the years, always be your true self, because that's what really connects. That's what really reaches people. And even in this live virtual world, I've just learned not to overdo it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then a quick shout for the chat. If y'all want to use the Q&A function, I'm going to try and get to some folks' questions. But yeah, at the bottom of your screen, you'll see Q&A, and then we'll answer those towards the end. Let's back all the way up. Let's pretend pre-COVID, even if you're doing a live stream here and there, but mostly we're doing in-person shows. How are you making sure that fans are coming back or supporters are coming back? And what are you doing during a show to capture their information, if you are at all? JD?
Shows, I usually share my social media handles. Like that's just the best way. Like when I'm on a stage, I shout it out, go follow me now, or go comment, go watch my videos. I just shout out all my platforms where they can find the songs that I did. I really haven't done that well with receiving the information unless it's through social media, like emails and stuff like that. So that's just a different thing. But basically just exchanging social media handles, because that's where I'm at all the time. And that's where they'll constantly see me. And like I said, I engage with my supporters constantly. Like, I don't care who leaves a comment, I'm answering. I used to get in trouble with it from my mates. And I'm like, look, they my supporters. Like they would, like you said, they would drive me, they would keep me going. They was getting me seen from people that I wouldn't even reach. So basically social media handles for me.
Okay, cool. B?
Yeah, I think on my best days when I was touring, I would have an email list, or I would have someone helping me and collecting emails. And that was and I got really organized at the end. I was importing the emails into lists. So I have like Philly, I have Atlanta, I have, San Francisco. I have to organize the lists by city so that next time I come, I have your email. I'll say, hey, what's up? You want to come back to the show? I won't say I did that every time because I didn't. And if you're doing everything, if you're setting up, breaking down, setting out the merch and everything, it's kind of a lot.
It's a lot.
But people sign up. You say, I promise I won't stalk you. I promise I won't email you every day. And they sign up because a lot of people do care. They want to know when you're coming back. So.
Right. What about you, Keeyen?
I simply use a lot of social media handles like Instagram. Like Instagram, I feel like is my homie, my BFF. Just I
right.
Yeah, in our world today, you can have a A1 website, all these emails, and not insulting anybody that uses that, but I found so many opportunities come from just a DM. They definitely have for me. So I always, with shows, with talking to people, yo, what's your IG? Like, let's connect. And it's as simple as that. And I'm naturally a follow upper. If that follow upper, did I say that? I'm sorry. But I think being a Southern boy, being country, I'm so used to just like talking to people. I love talking to people, meeting new people. My grandparents always say I'm an old soul. I don't ever meet a stranger, which I get it from them, And so for me, the Instagram handles, that's everything. And I always have found success from following up with people, talking to them, and those relationships continue to build, and you recognize, yo, like I connected with you 2 years ago on IG, like what's good, like that's a really cool experience. And for us, it's our reality, that's the world we live in right now.
Absolutely. Okay, so y'all, all three have talked about the really sweet side of all this fan business, right? It's a supporter business. So let's like get into the nitty gritty. Julia and Daisy have some really great questions regarding this. So y'all talked about how you're connecting, and these seem like nice people that you're interacting with. Julia said, one of the artists I'm working with has a huge problem with reacting to her fans' comments and messages. What keeps you motivated or helps not being overwhelmed by a load of messages? Daisy similarly asked, how often do you interact with supporters, replying to their messages? Is it daily, or do you pick a few days a week to interact with them? So, I can see the side where you're like, oh, I'm back in San Francisco. Let me connect with these group of people. But then what happens when you aren't able to get to all those messages? And if how do you find that balance of like, you can't spend all day on Instagram, but you also want to make sure you're showing love to your supporters? BeBe, you want to start?
Sure. I mean, I do respond. I respond to pretty much every message I get, but I I just take breaks, and I'm not, writing long letters on Instagram to people. I'm just saying thank you so much. I'm so grateful, and I mean it. It's not it's not like a canned answer, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not so popular that I am getting like flooded with fan mail. But I do. Yeah, I take the time to respond to everything.
Yeah, cool. Keeyen?
I find that making a schedule, so super transparent for me from not traveling, not touring as much as well any of us because of the pandemic. I found to give some sanity, and I love having a schedule. I for probably about 2 hours each day, I dedicate it specifically to my social media. So I will literally say from 11 to 12, I'm going to be on Instagram. I'm going to be on Facebook, Twitter, looking at who's dialoguing and corresponding. And that has really helped where I would say change the curve from feeling overwhelmed to feeling accomplished. Like, oh, I made sure and hit everybody back today. And my publicist, who's like my sister, when I tell y'all, she will always obliterate me for not following up with people immediately. And I was like, well, it's not that I'm not going to just right now. It hasn't been the best time. So I think too, having someone on your team to kind of hold you accountable and check in, be like, hey, this person commented, respond back.
Mm-hmm,
That has
mm-hmm,
definitely been helpful too. But
mm-hmm,
even with being at home so much, like really taking 2 hours out of my day, maybe not all in one sitting, but breaking it
mm-hmm.
up, that has really helped me daily. It's a part of my schedule. So now I automatically know I'm going to dialogue and interact. And it feels more natural. It feels less intense and less forced. But yeah, that schedule has really helped me a lot.
I like that. And it looks like you kind of answered Josie's question in the Q&A about if you have a social media manager. So it sounds like you have a publicist who's a family member. What do y'all think about having a social media manager? Is that something that you've ever considered?
Need it.
Yeah.
I wish I had one.
Yeah. It's a lot, but I think there's something to be said
I wish I had one.
about doing that on your own, because there is that authenticity, that vulnerability of being, this is me responding, right? And then at a certain point, you kind of have to think about what kind of headspace you want taking up for you being on socials all day. So yeah, I definitely respect the hustle of both. So let's talk about what you're offering to super supporters. Are there any of you that offer specific merch or exclusives for people that have been with you ride or die? Go for it, anybody. Or if the answer is no, the answer is no. Maybe you don't.
I mean, I have in the past.
Yeah.
But now that I got my own clothing line, sometimes I might throw a shirt or, throw a discount. So I look out, but, not, too much. New music, I might email or something like that. Right, and nobody that I haven't dropped anything, I might say, oh, what's your name? I'm like, you know what? Because if I know they've been rocking with me forever, I'm like, what's your email? I send it to you. you know what I mean? Or stuff like that. I'd give little perks like that. For now.
Yeah. For now, yeah. For sure.
For now.
Keeyen, any exclusives?
Oh, here's the thing for me. I keep telling y'all how I'm a Southerner, and it is the truth. I have gotten quite reprimanded by my team for being a little bit too accessible at times and being too much of a giver. But for me, I'm just like, hey, you never know what you create, compose, structure, whatever. You never know what's going to take off. So just give it, but I've been learning, do everything, within reason, and still have fun doing it. But in the past few years, I've learned to kind of keep the anticipation, the suspense kind of lingering there for your fans by saying, "Oh, well, yo, if you just keep checking for like just a week, I'm gonna have something for you." So kind of making it fun. But I used to freely like just give away stuff and send emails, and I learned quickly, hey, just keep some stuff on the low key.
Absolutely, absolutely. You go for it.
Yeah, I mean, I try to have little things like I have CDs that are pretty cheap to make. I have matchbooks with some lyrics on them. I try to have things that I can give without like losing a lot of money. So when somebody orders merch online, for me, I always put extra stuff in there. Always put a handwritten note in there.
Nice.
Just because I mean it's like thank you. This is
you.
great. Thank you so much. And it's not that hard for me to do a little bit extra for them. And again, Patreon, I'm not I'm not trying to do an ad for them, but I swear. But I now especially I had it before quarantine, but now especially in this time, if somebody gives me $1 a month for until question mark, I mean that means I don't have to ask them every time, every time I come out with a project, every time, I do anything, I'm not like, hey, please help out. So I just post every week. I post songs nobody's heard. It's like, it's a very exclusive space, even though like everybody gets the same shit. Like somebody gives me $1, somebody gives me $50. They all see the same stuff, but like just that commitment means that you're going to see all the good stuff that nobody else sees. And it might, I feel like I only have maybe 100 patrons. It's not that many people, but just that commitment and the fact that I can see, how much I'm going to get every month. It's like, it's so much easier and simpler for me to like consolidate the super supporters there.
Absolutely. And 100 is not nothing, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that on the other side of it, we're all kind of like looking to how can we support each other, right? Like we're here a year in and I'm like looking at some of my favorite podcasters, some of my favorite artists and being like, can I just give them like that $5 a month? Can I, you know what I'm saying? Because you've been listening to their content for a year. So we are all like artists and then also supporters. It's all an ecosystem. So, I mean, we're all thinking of it in the same way, right? Jody had a question in the Q&A that I actually want to touch on about ads. So, hi, I'm Jody Cooper, a singer-songwriter from Germany. In this no performing time right now, what ways would you recommend to find your super fans? I'm currently trying Facebook ads to find them, but I was wondering what ways have worked for you. Have y'all tried ads?
Yes.
Yeah, and tell us a little bit about your experience. JD, go ahead.
I've tried ads for Superfans, but like a few years ago, one thing I did, I know where super supporters lie. Super supporters lie in comments all the time. So I would hashtag anything that has to do with my brand or my type of, I do all types of music, but just relatively what I'm trying to put out at that time, I would hashtag it. I will find artists similar to me. I will go in their comments and I'm like, you should check me out. I think you might like my music as well. I've gained so many supporters just doing that because it's cool showing your video or sharing it and people see it and everybody might not gravitate toward it, but why not target those people that you know support. And it's not stealing, because if they're a supporter, they're gonna support you and they support them. You know what I mean? And then I support the artists they support because we have something in common. But I've got fans like that. I put up ads on, I pay for promotion on Facebook. I pay for promotion on Instagram. And Facebook actually generates a lot of traffic. So, you know, when you post a video on Facebook, instead of them having to click, if someone shares it, as soon as they scroll up, it's playing. So regardless if they want to see it or not, they're going to catch about 5 seconds of it. And if something grabs them in that 5 seconds, they're going to go right to it. So that's the tactics I use. And I definitely hit them inboxes and DMs. I'm not afraid of it. Don't like to block me. I'm not for you. We're not for each other. But I'm going to hit them. I'm going to hit them.
Keeyen, what about you? Have you used ads?
Yeah, full transparency, I'm actually running some right now. So shameless plug, if y'all go to my IG at Keeyen Martin, my name. I'm just kidding. For real though. But on Facebook and on IG, my team will tell you I am the first person to champion everything that I do. I will invest my own dollar before, asking somebody else. That's just personal because I believe in what I am presenting, and I know the benefits of it. So with ads, currently right now, in a nutshell, I wanted to bring my live experience to my super supporters, to everybody. And if anybody has ever seen me live or in person, that's just it's my bread and butter. I love just that experience. So I took my own time and money, invested in booking out a studio, bringing my band, and I'm rolling out this live unplugged series. And I said, okay, I already have that engagement, but let me put some money behind it on the Facebook ads, on the Instagram ads, and as JD was mentioning, like, you can easily see who's clicking on your stuff, who's viewing it. It shows the age, demographic, the analytics. That's the fancy word. It shows everything. And I think as an artist, what also was helpful, I took off the hat of just being creative, and I said, okay, let me put on this business hat.
Right?
Let me really, really learn these analytics for myself. And of course, you can hire somebody. You can do this. But if you don't have a lot of the money to do that, which I was that person before, I wanted to be able to do it myself. And then when I do have just a little something to pay somebody, I want to be able to speak that language. And so now I can tell you, what a CPM means. I can tell you, okay, what a target audience is for Keeyen Martin from assessing it myself. And I find that it's been not only helpful and successful, but when you're meeting other people in digital marketing and that whole world, they're usually like, wow, like, this guy knows what he's talking about. And, it's not rocket science. I just took time to learn it. And so, but yeah, check out the song Is You. I'm actually running ads right now, and I'm very happy with how they're performing. So I hope that encourages other people to do it.
Absolutely. And I love that you're digging into the analytics. B, you touched on it as well, talking about, like, I'll see where my fans are from, where people are signing up from, because that's important, because you're not just sending everybody everything, right? If you're on the West Coast, you can send it to the West Coast folks. If you're in Alaska, you can send it to the folks over there, And I think that's super important. Yes. No, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, but that's even when you hire someone to do your marketing, the first thing they ask you, what's your target audience? And you won't know unless you know. So that's like the point that he brought up. Just monitoring your own analytics allows you to have more information for those you do hire. So that is important.
It's really important. I think people sometimes underestimate it. B, I want to bring it back to you with a couple of questions from the Q&A, because I think people are really curious about Patreon. Because I think we've all supported Patreon, some of us have started Patreons, and looks like Kylie and Marios want to know, how have you built up your Patreon, and do you keep the content for Patreon subscribers as exclusive, or do you share that content publicly? I think you mentioned a little bit about that before, but how do you build it up? How are you getting people to sign up for it and promoting it essentially?
Yeah, I mean, I what I do now is I post maybe a clip from a piece that I put on Patreon, and I put it on Instagram, I put it on Facebook, I put it on all the platforms, and I'm like, this looks fun, right? Well, you have to go you have to go to my Patreon to see the whole thing. And also at the moment, Patreon gets everything. They get drafts of music videos. They get like the first release of my album that's maybe not even done. It's like, what do y'all think? You know, it's the place that gets everything first, and it gets stuff that is completely exclusive. Um, and for me, like it was more about, because I'm not getting paid to tour anymore, and that was like my primary source of income. It it's my boundary now that like I'm not giving everything to everyone. I can't afford to. I would love to, but to just be able to say like this group of people wants to give me at least $1 a month, and I'm going to give them a bunch of stuff.
I love
And
that.
I try, and I literally one day just said, Patreon is the best place to support me right now. And that post, like that little comment below a picture, just like it was the biggest growth in my Patreon. You know, it was just an honest thing. Like
Yeah.
it's hard right now. This is the best way. And a lot of people, some people don't even look at it. Some people don't ever go on the platform after they sign up. They're just like, I love you, here you go.
Yes.
Which
Yes.
is not ideal. I want them to engage, but yeah, that's what I would recommend.
But even like Keeyen said, with like Facebook being auntie, grandma, uncle land, like some people just, they're just like, they want to know, they want to support you, right? So it really is just like, I have some podcasts like that. I'll go premium, but I don't have time to listen to their podcast every day, but I want to give them the money, right? And then yeah, I totally agree with everything you just said. We have time for maybe one or two more questions. I want to know from each of you, your most bizarre or sweet or crazy fan story, like something that a fan did to go above and beyond, or something that you just weren't expecting, if you have one, or supporter, I should say. We've changed the term. And it's okay if you don't have one.
I don't know I don't know. I had some weird ones, man.
not safe for the webinar. All right.
I think it was kind of sweet, but I don't know if it's super bizarre. So I'll go first, like share.
Oh yeah, I got one, but go ahead.
I had the privilege of doing, it was this tribute concert to Sade. And it was, many different artists came together. I was very blessed to be a part of it. And Sade, as much of an icon and legend she is, a lot of her core fan base, they're, a little bit older, like they're in that auntie, uncle, age demographic. Yeah. I grew up on all types of music, so I was excited. I will never forget performing. I think I performed Cherish the Day and No Ordinary Love, which I remember those songs.
Yes.
Yeah. And I will never forget, y'all know as artists, when you're on stage, you're just kind of zoned out doing your thing. And I remember when I exited the stage, like the audience was just, it was an uproar. They were loving, vibing with me. And I remember when I finished the song, the band, was still jamming. I'm walking off stage. This lady, I promise y'all, she had to be every bit of 65. She just grabs me and she just starts like dancing on me, like twirling around, just dancing. Like it was this whole moment. And she followed me, y'all, the entire night. What was hilarious, my mom, and I have 4 aunties, they all, when they're able, they come support me. My mom I think she was watching because she did not like how this lady was stalking me around the venue. Long story short, I remember I went to the bar just to get some water, and the lady came and she just plunged her hands in my pants, and she was like, I saw my mom and my aunt, y'all, make a beeline, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is about to get really crazy. This is about to get, and so my cousins, they thankfully like kind of walked her out. They walked us both out, and I just talked to her. She was just, she was so sweet. But I don't know if y'all have ever experienced your family coming your family, 9 times out of 10, they're very protective of you. And so my mom, she wanted to get to that lady, y'all. But I was just, Mom, it's okay. It's all good. So I don't know if that was bizarre. It was definitely a moment I will never forget. But she was a sweet lady. She really was.
Be careful out there, y'all. All right, we have time for one more quick one. JD, you got one?
Oh yeah. I had this supporter. I mean, she commented on everything, shared my music and everything. So my second mom, I found out that she, like years later, that she lived downstairs from her. So she told my second mom, yeah, I date her. That's my baby. Da-da-da-da. So I was like, nah, not my daughter. She like, yeah. So she started sending her pictures that I posted. Like, never had pictures of me and her together. Like, claiming that we were together and everything, man. It was crazy. Then I had one more. This is quick. I had another one. Like, I had did a song for Savannah Park. It's like a rich town. So I was driving Lyft. So I got one of the kids as a driver, as one of my passengers. So he's like, "Oh my God, you're JD Polo, blah 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 blah." Because it was real big out there. I was invited to the parade, paid for the parade. They let me sign their forehead. So next thing I know, we talking. I'm thinking he cool. I'm like, all right, drop them off. I get this bad report from Lyft. Mind you, I got 5 stars. I did over 3,000 something ride. He telling me she didn't know where she was going. She's a horrible driver. And just like, I just was like, I don't know. Like, they just, some of them be crazy. It's worse ones, but I don't even want to say all that.
I appreciate y'all's vulnerability and I appreciate y'all's courage, actually. So before we head out, I just want to make sure that people know the best way to find you and how, like you said, the best way to support you. Because at the end of the day, people really do want to support you. I know, Keeyen, you said you have an ad running right now. So let people know where to find you and how to support you. This has been a really awesome conversation, and I'm super grateful for all 3 of you. You want to start? I know you got your Patreon locked and loaded.
I was just typing it in. I thought we were putting it in the chat, but
yeah, either way,
yeah,
throw in the chat.
I'll just put my name. Anything is under my name, and I'll put my site and my Instagram and Patreon in the chat. Would love to see y'all again.
Thank you. I appreciate y'all. Keeyen, where can people find you and support you?
Definitely on all social media. It's pretty easy. It's my real first and last name, KeeYen Martin. People always are like, "Is that your real name?" I was like, "Yeah, my mom. She named me Keeyen, and she got it from A Living Color." I don't know if any of y'all remember that show. She took Keenan Ivory
Wings.
Yeah, and she. So, needless to say, I love In Living Color because that's where my name. But please, all social media, it's Keeyen Martin. And I would love for y'all to check out the ad I'm running and hit me up in DMs if you have any more questions. I promise you, I am very accessible. And love to all of y'all. This was a beautiful experience. Thank y'all.
This is awesome. All right, JD, go for it.
All right, you can find me on all social media platforms, JD Polo. My real name is JD. Polo is not my name. But all social media platforms, all music platforms. My clothing line is called Dummy, which we call each other in Baltimore, but it stands for Don't Underestimate My Intelligence. We're an urban brand, but we're branching off. Me and Kristen about to do some design. She's about to be a part of it. And basically just hit me on the DMs, follow me on Instagram. And for the marketing people, the marketing managers, anybody that does the marketing, DM me, hit me up.
I love it. I appreciate y'all so much. I will, in the follow-up email, put your socials as well so that people who are in the room and who are RCPBS can get your information and support you. Thank you so much for being a part of this conversation. And the next in session is March 18th. Yes, March 18th at 1 p.m. It'll be about content creation. So join that as well. And make sure you follow all 3 of these amazing artists. Thanks, y'all.
All right. You did a great job, Jen. Nice to meet you guys.
So cool. So cool. Great meeting you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.